Testing, testing, testing. We on? I think so. Now, I was going to, wait until I got my thoughts together to make this video, but I just thought I've decided to become so spontaneous about it and just go out there and do it. Now, I was going to talk about work and stuff happening at the gas bar, but I just decided to wait it out and use my phone to do a video. But I'll just talk about this some article I've read about the NBA while I wait for this ESPN to degauge itself, because sometimes when I play some videos from ESPN, noticeably it always freezes on me. Maybe it has to do with my computer. I would say my computer, something wrong with my system. But it seems to be working fine. But I'll just go out watch ESPN a little later. Now, I was looking for some stuff about sports and what to write, to talk about in sports. But I just couldn't really find much of anything. Now I'm going to talk about NBA ownership today. I think I'll do that for my video. Now, I just read an article in Bloomberg Business Week about David Stern and his successor. I don't know his name, but the successor is taking over for David Stern, the NBA commissioner. I think he's retiring. Well, I don't blame him for retiring. I mean, he's in his 70s, I would imagine. Well, speaking of commissioner, I was looking for Gary Bettman, the NHL commissioner. I was trying to figure out where he was born, whether he was born here in Canada or the United States. I'm not so sure. But NHL we'll discuss later. This is the NBA. In the article I've read about NBA transition of or successors of ownership in businesses. And I guess the NBA had the right formula. They let this guy work for the NBA until later when he reached his 50s. He's in his 50s right now, getting ready to take over as commissioner of the NBA, while David Stern is going to retire. And this has to do with business transitions, as I talked about. Now, David Stern was a lawyer before he just took over the NBA. And he did little things to change the league around. Before, back then, the NBA was just an ordinary league, just like the NFL and NHL, which, of course, NHL had the majority of players were Canadian, and the NBA was Black Americans. And now, as years gone by, the NBA changed. We see more white players and players from other countries now. Like Steve Nash, he's a Canadian. And this kid, I don't know, Andrew Wiggins, he's in college basketball. But this tall guy, Michael somebody's from Canada. And you got some French players like Tony Parker. And now you're getting some Spanish players like Paul Gasol. Yeah, the world is catching up to the Americans in basketball. But still, the Americans are in the lead for that. Whereas for the NHL, most countries are catching up to Canadians. The majority of NHL players were Canadians and, to some extent, Russians. But now, gradually, it's catching up to the Canadians. Not just Russians, but Swedish, Finnish, Swiss, Czechoslovakians or Czech Republic, and the Americans. A lot of good teams And this goes for basketball as well. Lithuania is another good basketball team, which has some NBA players. And Australia had NBA players too. So now the NBA has become a worldwide success because of NBA TV, which they show online, which is shown in many different countries in the world. And this guy who's taken over, he probably has a lot of work to do to keep the NBA where it is right now. That the job that David Stern has done. So yeah. What can I say now? What else can I say for this? Guess not a whole lot, much more to say. Adios.